Welcome to The Explainer, where we break down complex topics into clear, actionable insights.
So today, we are unlocking the secrets to completely transform your coding workflow. If you've been using Claude Code and your reaction is kind of like, yeah, it's pretty good, then you're going to want to stick around. This explainer is all about showing you how to make it absolutely mind-blowing. We're talking about going from novice to expert.
And we're going to move fast, okay? We're only covering the absolute gems that will genuinely 10x your productivity. All right, let's just dive right into it, starting with the essential foundation.
First things first, right? You can't build a skyscraper on a shaky foundation. So let's get you set up and totally comfortable with the basic yet incredibly powerful commands that you're going to be using every single day.
Getting this thing set up is actually super straightforward. It doesn't matter if you're in a VS Code-based editor like Cursor or a JetBrains IDE, you just install the extension. The real key, though, is running /terminal setup and /ID. That's what gets it talking to your editor. Oh, and here's a pro tip for you. Go into /config and set autoconnect to true. It's such a small change, but trust me, it saves a ton of hassle.
These shortcuts, they're going to become muscle memory really fast. Shift plus Tab is your absolute best friend for cycling between modes. You know, like Auto for when you trust it to just go for it, or Plan for when you need it to think before it acts. And please, don't forget /resume. If your browser ever crashes, that command is an absolute lifesaver.
And all of this efficiency, it isn't just about saving time, it's about saving money. I mean, look at this. Heavy usage for less than a week can run up a bill like this one. And that's exactly why mastering these techniques to cut down on waste is so vital, not just for your workflow, but for your wallet too.
All right, so with the basics down, it's time to learn how to communicate smarter. This is really where you unlock the AI's true power, because it's not just about what you ask, but how you ask it.
This is probably the simplest trick with the biggest impact. Seriously, to get Claude to allocate a basic thinking budget and actually reason through a problem before it answers, all you do is start your prompt by telling it to think. You'll literally see its thought process pop up in the terminal as this italic gray text. It's awesome.
Facing a more complex problem? Well, you just level up your request. Instructing it to think harder gives it a bigger thinking budget, which allows it to tackle more intricate logic and all those tricky dependencies.
And for those really difficult, multi-step tasks, you can unlock the maximum thinking budget by telling it to ultra think. This is your go-to for those problems that seem almost impossible for an AI to solve on its own.
And beyond just thinking, you can direct it to use even more advanced problem-solving strategies. So, for example, asking it to use sub-agents will make it break down a big task and assign parts to specialized internal agents. And get this, telling it to run in a loop is incredible for iterative bug fixing. You just tell it to run the build and fix errors until there are none left. It's amazing.
Okay, now we're going to go beyond Claude's built-in abilities. The next step is to integrate these powerful external tools that give it, well, specialized superpowers.
These are called MCPs, or multi-Claude processors, and they are total must-haves. Just think of them as plugins that give Claude specialized skills. Taskmaster AI, for example, is brilliant for breaking down huge requests. Playwright lets it actually use a web browser to test things out. And Context 7 is a lifesaver when you're working with some brand new framework and the AI keeps writing old, outdated code.
And this brings us to a really key expert tip. And this one comes straight from the source. Don't just blindly trust the AI. Instead, you can leverage other tools like the CodeRapid extension to act as a second pair of eyes. It's a fantastic way to catch those subtle errors that Claude might miss.
Okay, so we've taught Claude how to think, and we've given it superpowers. But to make it truly effective, we need to teach it the specific context of your project. It's time to give it a long-term memory. And you do this using these special files called claude.md. These files act as the long-term memory, or the brain, really, for the AI, but on a per-project basis. And the best way to get started? Just run the ask/init command in an existing project, and it'll analyze your code and generate a starting brain for you.
Now, these rules, they're not just suggestions, they are massive time savers. Tell it to auto-commit its work so you always have checkpoints. Tell it to run diagnostics to catch errors right away. Defining your tech stack and project structure, that prevents it from wasting time and tokens. And my personal favorite, tell it to self-improve. It'll actually create new rules for itself when it spots repeating patterns in your work. So, cool!
We've reached the final ascent. This is where we stop actively managing the AI and really start making it work for us automatically, in the background. And this is all about mastering hooks.
Hooks are the absolute key to ultimate productivity. They're just commands or scripts that you can set to run automatically at specific moments in Claude's workflow. This lets you automate pretty much anything you can think of.
Understanding the timing here is everything. You can trigger actions before a tool is used with pre-tool use, or after it's used with post-tool use. You can even trigger something when an entire session stops using the stop hook. This gives you incredibly precise control over your automation.
Let's make this practical, okay? With a post-tool use hook, you can automatically run a code formatter on every single file that Claude touches. And this completely ends those massive, annoying diffs you get from a single formatting change. Or you could use the stop hook to play a sound so you finally get that satisfying task complete alert when a long job is finally finished. But the single most powerful hook, it's not about convenience. It's actually a clever workaround for a fundamental limitation of the current generation of large language models.
This simple rule placed in a pre-tool use hook is a total game changer. It runs before every single action, and it forces Claude to test its changes instead of just assuming they work. It forces verification. By making sure it doesn't get lost in context and always validates its output, you will drastically reduce your errors.
And this is the thought I really want to leave you with. By mastering all these tools, from basic commands and smart prompting to project brains and automated hooks, you're not just coding faster anymore. You're building a more reliable, more intelligent development partner that actually verifies its own work. So, what could you build with that?